Now, on this question, the first thing you want to do is just graph it. You might be able to understand the properties without graphing it, but a visual always helps. So it's nice to have a visual image. You go based off of this is x and y. This is where -1 would be. Let's say that up here would be 5. So right over here, this is the vertex. Now the vertex, for a parabola that opens up, the vertex is the lowest point on the graph. So we can just draw a u that goes up. This is an upwards opening parabola. When you're trying to find the domain, this is talking about all the x coordinates. So in other words, you have the farthest left x, comma, the farthest right x. And when it's talking about range, this is going to be the lowest y, comma, the highest y. Now, I drew parentheses, but for the range on this kind of question, you're going to have a bracket. Now, let's go back to domain. The domain is just talking about x coordinates. So you start at the origin, and you go left, and no matter how far you go to the left, the graph will always be able to continue. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep increasing in this direction. So because of that, the graph goes left forever towards -infinity. -infinity always has parentheses, so we have half the answer here. And it's the same thing for the right side of the graph, because infinity, or even just starting at the origin, if you go right, the farther you go right on the x-axis, the longer this gets. It's just going to continue extending. And if you go farther and farther to the right side, this will continue going up. Nothing will ever stop it. So because nothing will stop it from increasing indefinitely, that means that you can go right forever towards +infinity. And so you put infinity here in parentheses. That's the domain. And now for the range. The range is talking about the y-coordinates, so we're looking at up and down. Let's start with the lowest point on the graph. Now, you won't start at the origin here. Just looking at the graph, this is the lowest point. It's not going to be able to go down any further than the vertex. So in that case, you take the y-coordinate from the vertex, the 5. This looks like a -5, but it's really just because it was written on the right side. Let's put the 5 here. The lowest y here is going to be a 5. And because it goes through the 5 is part of the graph, you put a bracket on it. So as a reminder, if this is the minimum, then the 5 will have the bracket here on this side. So now you can go back to looking at the y-axis. The highest you go up here will be forever, because you can go upwards forever and both parts of the graph will continue increasing. Nothing will stop them. So as long as that can happen, both sides are going up towards +infinity. Or more specifically, the y-axis can be extended towards +infinity. So the highest y-coordinate, you'll represent that with a +infinity, which gets a parentheses here. Remember, infinities always have parentheses, but a specific number can have a bracket if it's part of the graph. Here it's a closed circle.